I just realized that. Welcome back to another visual effects artist react video.
You guys have probably seen those videos where like professionals react to videos pertaining to their career.
And we wanted to do the same thing because visual effects are super cool and sometimes they're really bad.
The Matrix is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I can quote this entire movie.
Trinity!
Help! So The Matrix honestly is what inspired me to start getting into visual effects because they had a pretty small effects team, all things considered, and it was just really genius application of technology that made it good. All right, this shot right here.
Ah, such a revolutionary shot.
I love that shot. It makes my heart flutter. And The Matrix was one of the first films to kind of pull off one of these shots where the camera is just this virtual object that can move anywhere it wants at any speed. Hey, you guys want to hear something that might blow your mind, and you too? This background is 100% CG.
So you're saying the only thing that's real in that entire shot is the Keanu?
The Keanu Reeves is the only real thing in that entire shot. So the way they did this shot, instead of taking one camera and moving it through a circle, just put a camera at each position where there'd be a frame and just hit a button and they all take a picture at once, or at least slightly offset from each other in this case.
Look at that. Look at the spacing of those cameras. They knew the speed at which they wanted to have the camera flying around certain moments, and they built that into the spacing of the cameras.
That's crazy.
I just realized that. I always assumed that they were evenly spaced.
There's more frames here in the spin than there are cameras. What they actually needed to do is basically do little mini morphs to get the frames in between the cameras. So you basically have a low frame rate version, and then you go through and you do frame interpolation, it's called, which is basically just morphing from frame to frame to fill in those in-betweens.
And you can actually see those artifacts in his cape, his jacket.
Oh, yeah.
If you really look at like the folds and whatnot, they do kind of like morph between each other on certain frames.
Now here's the thing. So they built a big green screen room. There's all these little holes, you know, where the cameras are pointed through. And they filmed Keanu Reeves on a green screen. What happens when you're doing a 360 rig and you're on one side of the rig looking at the other side of the rig? You see all the cameras. So they had to recreate the background in CG. Now this is a problem in 1999 because you don't have the capabilities to make photorealistic CG, and yet here we are with a photorealistic background.
So why is it photoreal, Nico?
So the trick that they came up with was, hey, let's just go to our actual set. We'll literally just take pictures of it as is, with all the lighting already baked in, the shadows already there, and we'll just use that as a texture, and that's it. Most people don't notice this, but when Trinity does her kick, the background is 100% CG, and when Agent Smith and Neo jump at each other and they're holding the guns in the subway, the background is also 100% CG in those shots.
Nice.
If you wanted to remake this shot yourself, all you'd have to do is get a bunch of cameras, they wouldn't have to be expensive ones, some green screen poster board, and an actor who flops, and there you go. It takes some work, but it's by all means something that's doable. One person could recreate this effect shot these days.
Superman, can we ask you some questions?
Ooh,
Oh boy.
that is wonky looking.
He looks like he has like cotton stuff underneath his lips. He's like, hey, I'm Superman. So, okay, what actually happened here is they filmed the Justice League. Henry Cavill or Henry Cavill? Henry filmed Superman, and then he goes on to film Mission Impossible, where he has this really cool looking mustache, right? But during the filming of that movie, they had to do reshoots for Superman. They wouldn't let him shave his mustache.
He was contractually obligated to have a mustache. Can you
Yeah.
imagine signing a contract that says you have to have a mustache?
At the end of the day, this is just like movie studios just like flexing at each other, being like, oh no, we have a contract saying he can't shave his mustache, so what are you gonna do? And they're like, I guess we'll CG it. They had to straight up recreate his entire mouth, match it as best they could, and then just composite the render over his mustache. But then you have to blend it further in, so you end up having to use more fake face than the real face to make it all work together, and then you end up with basically a mostly fake mouth. The hardest thing to recreate about the face is the lips.
It looks
It's not
pretty good.
that bad. It's not that bad there.
This scene is actually pretty solid.
Oh, this one. I've seen this one. The corners of his mouth don't like fold in on each other correctly. Yeah, that looks weird.
It's too smooth.
It's way too smooth, and it stretches weird.
Do you think they took his mustache and like combed it up and then combed it down and just like got a straight, like they just crunched it
Goes
together
straight
as
out?
much as possible? It just goes straight out. Yeah.
So this is another example of where someone did a deep fake over the top of this and it looks better.
Deepfakes are pretty interesting technology. The next video coming out on this channel is us experimenting with deepfakes. If you'd like to check that out, consider subscribing. That looks great.
Nah, I'm seeing some blurry.
I can see why they had issues with the corners of the mouth because the mustache overlaps the corners of the mouth. And that's really
Right.
tricky because you're dealing with two folds of muscle and skin coming together.
It just looks like The guy on the left just got out of a dental exam.
You're right. You're right. You're totally
He's got
right.
Novocaine flowing through his system, and he's just like, is this real life?
Superman.
Oh man, okay, one of my favorite movies, Pacific Rim, had probably the coolest aesthetic of any movie I've ever seen.
Sweet.
Guillermo del Toro's use of color. I could literally talk about Pacific Rim for days. Every shot was filmed in a way as if it was actually achieved in real life. All the camera moves are as if they're on a dolly or a helicopter or someone's holding it looking up at the robots. There are no like CG cameras flying all over the place, and that makes these giant, super unrealistic things seem more real. So that shot we just saw there, going through the office building and then hitting Newton's cradle.
That's a pretty cool shot.
They filmed that for real on a miniature set.
Wait, that's not VFX?
You're right, it's not. They created an office building, like 3rd scale maybe?
Whoa! Sweet. Oh, that's why it looks so good.
Because it's real. The only thing they added in that was digital was the fist and like all the connecting stuff around the fist in the background. Now, it is worth noting that the cradle wouldn't actually react that way. This movie doesn't care about physics that much. But okay, the reason why I wanted to bring up this movie is to compare it to the abysmal second movie.
Oh, we're going there.
I never saw it.
You're not missing out, dude. It was just such a disappointment.
Tiny monsters. I don't want tiny monsters in my Pacific
Yeah, it's like
Rim.
just, this has like one of those ethereal cameras where it moves without any sort of relation to real space, which works for some movies. It obviously works for The Matrix, but this is an example where you don't want to do that because it just kind of reinforces the idea that the fake things you're seeing are actually fake.
Yeah, and I'm just watching an animated film.
Look at this camera move here. It's a digital camera move, and it's just like flying between each of the Jaegers as they're like powering up their weapons.
This is speed ramps and everything?
Yeah, and it's like the robots look cool, I guess. In the second movie, I also noticed that the Jaegers are faster than the Jaegers from the first movie, and that also serves as a disadvantage for making them look realistic. What made the Jaegers from the first movie look so good is the fact that they were so slow. They were just like, in the second movie, like, the bigger you get, the slower you move because you have all these obstacles in your way, like air and whatnot. You have to move really slowly, and that really accentuates the fact that they're huge.
If you want your miniatures to look big, you have to shoot them in slow motion. Imagine you're standing on top of the Empire State Building and you drop a rock. 10 seconds to hit the ground. Now imagine you have a 10-foot model of the Empire State Building and you drop a rock off of that. If you want it to look the same size, you would need to slow down time for that rock to take 10 seconds to hit the ground. And so that's the kind of math they do in filming miniatures. They change the frame rate to make you record slower to make the physics move at the same speed as they would if it was a lot bigger. Do you guys want to see the best miniature explosions you've ever seen?
Salvation?
Yeah, you wouldn't think Terminator Salvation would have the best miniature explosion, but these are by far the best miniatures I've ever seen.
Whoa.
So they time the shock waves with other explosives so that things all fall apart at the exact time they should. Because obviously your miniature is not going to have enough force to blow things away with a shock wave. Watch this. There's an explosion for when it hits the ground. Boom! See that? That timing is nuts.
You don't think it's just like a master behind his like board and he's just like, bah, brah. You know? In True Lies, I was like, how did they blow up this massive bridge and how did this car just plummet into the ocean? And it was with the miniatures. That's real right there.
That's incredible.
I can see the bridge, it's coming, come on. Yes, yes, yes!
And it hits that air, and the truck freaking lands it on the other side of the bridge. Yeah!
Man.
Good, it's affirmative.
Oh, that's right, I forgot about the Pelican.
Dude, James Cameron with the goofs, man.
I think we've had enough of shots that we really enjoy. It's time to look at something that no one enjoys.
Whoa, whoa! Oh, God!
Oh. Oh.
Dude, that's like that Key and
It's like a
Peele.
straight deep fake to the baby.
That's... I'm getting triggered, dude. I'm getting triggered
It's like
pretty
a
hard by
video
that
game
baby.
texture on the baby's face.
What, it has too much... Get it off me. Why, it's too mature for his age.
So far, like, all the shots looking down at the baby aren't that bad, but past when we first see the baby, oh my gosh, that was hardcore in Canny Valley. Wait, go back to that shot. Go back to that shot.
That floating head, dude.
Also, there's like way too much fake
Right
lighting
there.
on the baby.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at
It's like the baby's clearly lit like from a different direction, and they're adding fake shadow.
It's like
and,
glamour lighting. Is it worth going to Children of Men, baby?
Wait, you're saying that baby's not actually there? That's
CG.
completely computer generated?
Yeah,
They've
really good.
It's really good.
One thing to keep in mind is the lighting helps a lot.
All the details are kind of hidden in the shadows. And it makes it look more realistic because it matches the scene.
The animation's fantastic.
The animation's really good. That looks like a freaking newborn baby.
Someone had to hand animate that. Every finger, every fold. God.
That was, you see, I had no idea that was a CG baby.
No one is immune.
Resident Evil!
this.
Resident
I remember this.
Evil! Oh no, we're
This
not
is the
looking at.
crisscross
Oh boy.
fry. This is the crisscross fry.
I love
scene.
this scene. This is
Crisscross
like the one
fries?
redeeming scene for the whole movie.
Watch out. She didn't make it.
Oh.
That was a good one.
Now this is pretty crazy because they get the perspective on her head right when it falls off.
Oh, that was good.
Just super well done.
That was good. Stylized.
So is that a computer-generated head when it
I think
falls
they,
off her?
I think they had a head model. They just projected the texture of her head onto it. So projecting the texture from your footage onto a CG model, and then you can just have that CG model go bloop.
I think what happened here is they just asked the actress to slowly turn her head and then dip it down.
I think so.
Yeah, because look, her ear comes into frame, right? It's clearly like rotoed, the bun, you know, and then they dip her head forward, and it's just a clean cut. They animate the head down.
I think you might be right, Clint.
So like that'd be the easiest and cheapest way, because they're doing this effect when the camera stops. So they orbit around her head, they stop the camera, and now it's easy to do all your stuff on just a tripod shot, basically.
So what's this crisscross shot you keep describing?
Just wait for it.
All right.
This is it. He's
I got
he's
this.
gonna do it.
I
He's
got
gonna do
this.
it. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna like wrestle with it?
Oh, crap.
Crisscross fries.
Deactivated. Too late. Oh, the eye melts.
Some strange animation on that. That looks really cool. They got those sear lines. coming
The
through.
close-up on his face looks really good.
Oh, look at the way the
I do like that. Oh
gross.
man, that's really nice.
The
you can see the
laser, like,
contour going
thins
around.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch his eye melt though.
oh nice.
The whites are running in his eyes like it's an egg.
And it immediately falls apart once we start seeing like all the little pieces. The first part of that shot before it rack focuses to her in the background looks great.
Yeah.
And now it's the physics. It's like that little chunk falls off and then it kind of just floats there.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, you're right.
It looks like it should just tumble off. Instead it goes doom, doom, doom. Yeah, I just think the execution of the pieces falling apart doesn't look that great.
Agreed.
So you know who did that shot way better? Freddie and Brandon.
That looks really cool.
So he's chopping Freddy into hundreds of slices and pieces here. Dude, all those blood particles shooting out on every single slice. Oh,
That's cool.
that's
pretty good.
pretty sweet.
Example of projection mapping, where they projection mapped Freddy onto a model that's lined up, and then anything that didn't get the projection map of Freddy's exterior is just a meat interior. You can see Freddy's hand though go from individual fingers to just a mitten, and you can see the texture mapping really well on it.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Pops into an inflatable glove.
But it's a good transition.
Oh, they fade it. They fade it.
He does like a crossfade. This was a great shot. This was a great shot.
There's a whole thing like effects when you're watching them in motion, in context, versus effects broken down frame by frame, played over and over and over and over again. And most of the little things like that, where his hand went ballooned into a little inflatable projection map, you don't have to get it pixel perfect because we don't have time, and no one's gonna notice.
No one's gonna notice.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should react to some of our videos in a future video.
We can look at our best and worst VFX.
Oh gosh, oh man, subscribe for that. And now check this out. We have curated a special playlist of a bunch of our favorite videos from the last year that we think you might enjoy having watched this whole VFX React series. So check out these new videos. Link down in the description, or you can click this link right here. It'll take you to several of these videos. They're great, and we think you might enjoy them.